See, the answer to number 4 is y squared minus 3y minus 7 over y plus 2, and that's as simplified it could get, so there's no factoring that can be done here. This is part of the adding and subtracting fractions. Now, when you do have two expressions here, this one is a fraction, this one isn't, we want to add them together. Regardless, whenever we're trying to add fractions together, they have to have the same denominator. So what you want to do is put this over 1, so it has a denominator, and the LCD between 1 and y plus 2 happens to be y plus 2. So once we establish that that's our denominator, we write it down here and we don't touch it, you leave it alone. Then this is where a lot of you get confused. This is when you have to multiply top and bottom by what's missing from the least common denominator. Now, what's missing here is the whole y plus 2. So we multiply top and bottom by y plus 2. If we just show the multiplication on top of the y plus 2, that would have been okay as well. So we already established the least common denominator here. This one's good to go because it has the LCD right here. So you multiply that across, plus the 3. You can't cancel that. A lot of you are going to want to cancel that because you're canceling over a plus or minus sign. You might say, well, there's no plus or minus sign there, but it's really attached to this plus sign here. So you have to distribute that. Double distribution, or what you like to call FOIL, first, center, and last. Combine like terms, and we get our final answer. As a part 1, this could have been done completely with mock substitution. As a part 2, you could have done it as a check with mock substitution, plugging in something like y is 3 or 5. Number 5 on topic 1, the answer is 5 over y minus 5. This one was a little bit more extensive than the other adding and subtraction. For several reasons. You had to factor, you had a difference of 2 squares, denominator here that had to be factored before you determine the LCD, and subtraction is always a pain. A lot of people make errors there. Some people like to make this plus, put this in parentheses, and just distribute that negative right away. That's up to you. So after I factor this to determine the LCD, I like to think of it as an LCD party. If I'm inviting this couple, I'm not going to invite them twice, so that's part of the LCD. And although they look the same, it's a completely different couple I'm going to invite them to. So this is your least common denominator, which you write down. You don't add anything across with the denominators. It's all about the numerators once you've established the denominator. So you're going to multiply what's top and bottom by what is missing from the denominator. What is missing? So what's missing from here? Y plus 5. You're going to multiply top and bottom by y plus 5. You distribute that 6. I write it down here and then I distribute it after. That's a preference. Bring down that minus. Make sure that y plus 5 had parentheses around it. You want to make sure that you're distributing that negative properly to both terms. So here I get my 6y plus 5. And you're going to want to cancel those 5's. You can't. It's connected by a plus or minus sign. That's an illegal mathematical operation. You have to distribute it. Distribute that negative to the negative y minus 5. Then you combine like terms. Be careful of those canceling over plus and minus signs. You're not going to get much partial if you keep doing that. After we combine like terms on the top, it's a good thing I didn't distribute that bottom, because after I factored the numerator using GCF, I can now cancel those out. You see how this is connected by multiplication, connected by multiplication, everything's connected by multiplication. That simplifies to 1. See how here I can't cancel those to 1 because that's connected by subtraction. So this is the final answer, which could be checked with mock substitution. As a part 1, it could be done with mock substitution. In this case, I would have just checked it because it was a part 2. Just want to give you a quick aside that I didn't mention on the sheet. When you have the denominators, and we talked about this in class, when the denominators are opposite signs, they're complete opposite signs. If you just switch this and make them the same, it's like multiplying top and bottom by -1. So if you do indeed switch it, you've got to compensate the numerator of that fraction with the -1. And now that they have the same denominators, you just add the numerators across.